This week at Bungie, we got a deep dive into the Presage mission. We've got a brand new Bungie Charity for you all to completely blow out of the water. And we got a sneak peek at some upcoming Sandbox changes that are probably going to have a lot of you really happy. Oh, and Iron Banner's coming back too. What's going on, Guardians? My name is The Black Link. And today is April 8th, 2021, a Thursday. You know what that means. It's time for another issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. And we're going to be covering all of the biggest bits of news contained therein. And now, right off the bat, if you missed it, earlier this week we had a developer deep dive into the Presage mission. For those who have never done this, basically a deep dive is when Bungie goes live on their Twitch page to bring on a couple of the devs responsible for playing some of the content you know and love. This time around, it was the people responsible for the Presage mission. We got to hear a lot about the inspirations behind that mission and the design of the Dead Man's Tale exotic scout rifle that you get as a reward for completing it. As usual, it was a really interesting time, but if you happen to miss that stream, I'll have a link to the archive down in the description box below, where you can, of course, also find a link to the TWAB itself. Those developer ride-alongs are always a real treat, and I cannot wait to get our next one. But speaking of real treats, Bungie's got another charity in need of some Guardian helps. They are running Kilts for Kids 2021, an annual fundraiser that supports the Seattle Ronald McDonald House. The proceeds from this fundraiser go out to the children and families who are battling illness throughout the pandemic, and will go to help families isolated and facing economic hardships. Their current goal is to hit $77,000, and man, given the Destiny community's previous history with any kind of charity fundraisers, I'm sure you guys are going to blow that out of the water. You can head over to the RMHC donation page to cast your vote for Team Bungie by donating $10 or more before Friday, April 23rd at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Every $30 donated will pay for a family to stay at the house for one night. And of course, it wouldn't be a Bungie fundraiser if there wasn't some other sweet loot for you Guardians. For a $50 donation, you can receive this year's unique Destiny 2 Kilted emblem. The emblem itself is still in development, even though they gave us a quick sneak peek at what it could look like here, and the name is to be determined. Unique codes will be sent to all donors who donate $50 or more on or before May 20th, 2021. For $100, you get the prize above, plus you'll receive a postcard digitally signed by their Kilts for Kids team and mailed to you. At $250, you get all of the above prizes, plus a digital copy of a new and unique piece of artwork made by Bungie's Mark Fleeg himself. At $1,000, you'll get all of the previously mentioned products, plus a 1-hour Destiny 2 gameplay session with Bungie employees and fellow Kilts for Kids donors. And then, if you're one of the mad lads out there who donates $2,000 or more, you'll get all of the above prizes, plus the first 3 donors at the 2,000 plus level will receive one of 3 hand-painted Destiny vinyl goblin figures, themed to past, present, and future. These vinyl figures will be hand-painted by Bungie employees and will be shipped to the winners in late spring. So there you go, Guardians. Bungie's got a brand new charity to take part in. And here's hoping we blow that $77,000 out of the water. But alright, moving on from there, next week we've also got the return of the Iron Banner, starting on April 13th, of course at reset time, and going until April 20th. But this time around, Bungie's actually giving us a sneak peek at some changes that we're going to be seeing in the Iron Banner in the upcoming season of The Redacted. Coming next season, we'll be getting the return of a familiar hand cannon and sniper rifle from the Iron Banner, but also 2 brand new Iron Banner weapons will also be making their debut. Bungie states that their goals moving forward are to continue bringing some Year 1 weapons up to speed with random rolls, but also bringing some new rewards into the fold when possible. And then on the quick screenshot we get here, we see some old classics from way back in like Warmind in the Finite Impactor Legendary Energy Hand Cannon and the Occluded Finality Sniper Rifle. And of course, we've got 2 brand new weapons there as well in what looks to be a brand new Iron Banner machine gun and an Iron Banner shotgun. It's definitely awesome to finally start seeing some new stuff here in Iron Banner. While I'm fine with Bungie bringing stuff back from like Year 1 and Year 2, I would even like for them to bring some stuff back from, Destiny 1's Iron Banner. It's about time the Iron Banner got some brand new weapons to play with. And so I can't wait for those to become available next season. Now, you might be seeing that Iron Banner shotgun and be thinking, well, what about Felwinters. Isn't Felwinters technically the Iron Banner shotgun? Well, no, but I'm glad you thought of that because we've got a bit of time to talk a bit about Felwinters and some Sandbox changes that Bungie finished up this TWAB with. In this surprise section, we learn about changes coming to 120 RPM hand cannons, vortex frame swords, quick draw on shotguns, and even more. Including even a promise of buffs to linear fusion rifles, which is something I'm really happy to hear about. Anyways, here's exactly what Bungie had to say. First up, we've got some changes coming to weapon archetypes. For aggressive 120 RPM hand cannons, Bungie's looking to make a few changes to make them a bit more fair in PvP. So, when the Sandbox change goes live, these weapons will now have damage and aim assist fall-off distances reduced by between 2 and 4 meters based on the range stat. And this is going to roughly half the range buff that they received in Beyond Light. So if you remember back in Beyond Light, these 120s got a massive range buff. That prior Beyond Light buff is kind of going to be cut in half when these changes go live in the Sandbox update towards the end of April. Next up, we've got some changes for Vortex Frame Swords. With Falling Guillotine now viable forever, Bungie feels they need to adjust it a little, as its damage output is flat out higher than other legendary swords. I would again argue that that's a problem with other legendary swords. Maybe bump their damage up. Anyways, with this change, we allow it to keep its high damage output, but are reducing its full reserve damage output by reducing the number of heavy attacks you'll be able to perform. They're going to do this by changing it so that the full energy heavy attack ammo cost is going to be increased from 4 points to 6 points. So rather than knocking down the damage there, they're basically making the spin to win more costly. Well, that's better than just smacking its damage again. Next up, chip damage. Certain weapons, like swords and bastion, bypass shields by varying amounts, which has caused numerous issues with stasis-encased enemies, encounter mechanics, and other content. And so, they're going to be removing chip damage from swords and bastion. This is actually a really interesting change. For Bastion, if you don't know, I know most people use Bastion primarily in PvP now, but in PvE, a certain amount of damage that Bastion puts out just entirely ignores enemy shields. It makes it great for just destroying enemies without having to worry about matching up that shield damage. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they are going to be working with Bastion moving forward. Anyways, next up, we've got some changes to perks. First up is Quick Draw, which gives you a passive handling buff of plus 100. Bungie states that this negates the downsides of using low handling weapons such as aggressive shotguns, sniper rifles, and hand cannons, which isn't something they want to encourage. And so, the handling bonus is now going to be removed 1 second after swapping to a weapon with Quick Draw on it, or upon aiming down sights. And they've replaced Quick Draw with Surplus on new and existing drops of Felwinters Lie and Astral Horizon. That really hurts for Felwinters, but I know Felwinters is basically ubiquitous with the Crucible right now. And for Astral Horizon, man, I don't know how to feel about that. There are people, of course, there's two versions of Astral Horizon you can get. The one that used to have Quick Draw a season or two ago, or the ones you can earn now that can't get Quick Draw. Basically, Bungie's saying, so if you're somebody who still has an old Astral Horizon that you've been relying upon, well, they're going to be replacing that great perk with Surplus moving forward. Not sure how to feel about that. Next up is Frenzy. This perk has extremely high uptime in PvE to the point where it is clearly a better choice than most other damage perks. We like the high uptime and want to preserve that, but want it to award less damage than harder to activate damage perks. So they're reducing the damage bonus on Frenzy from plus 20% to plus 15%, which is definitely a nerf, but it's not the worst nerf I've seen. Interesting change. Alright, after that, Reservoir Burst, a perk I haven't heard about in quite some time, now increases magazine size in addition to its other effects. Reduce full battery bonus damage from 33% to 25%. Upcoming content requires revisiting the power level of a damage perk that can be activated simply by having a full magazine. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Say no more. Reservoir Burst is a fusion rifle ability. I wonder why they're retuning this fusion rifle ability now ahead of the incoming season. What fusion rifle could Bungie be introducing that would maybe have Reservoir Burst? The answer truly eludes me. Anyways, let's move on to the exotic changes. First up, the Lament. This weapon is a clear outlier for sword damage, so for the health of the heavy weapon diversity, we're pulling it back a bit. Anytime they talk about the health, they mean they're about to nerf something into the ground. They've reduced the damage of the revved heavy attack by approximately 16%. That is huge. And note that the Lament retains its standard anti-barrier despite removing the chip damage, so it's still going to be able to shred shields, but they are reducing the Lament's damage by 16%. Ouch! Definitely not a fan of that. That's a huge nerf to one of my favorite swords out there. And then, in a nerf that everybody's probably happy to hear about, Bastion. Since we're removing chip damage, Bastion gets something else instead. We've noticed increased feedback on Bastion and higher than normal usage in PvP. And so, we're making a small change here and we'll revisit Bastion later. They're going to make it intrinsically stagger unstoppable champions, but they're going to increase the spread angle by 13%, making it hopefully a little bit harder to land all, 21 of those bolts in PvP on a single target. But alright, there we go, Guardians. That's it for the big Sandbox changes. This Sandbox change, this update is going to come live, they say sometime in late April. And has honestly got quite a few interesting tidbits there. Definitely bummed out about the sword nerfs and the Lament nerf there. But I'd imagine people are more happy about the whole quick-draw shotgun thing than they are sad about swords being nerfed into the ground again. But anyways, that's the biggest bits of news contained in this week's TWAB, and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Sandbox update changes? Are there other things that you would like to see buffed or nerfed? Make sure you let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But I'm out for now. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.